First story. My wife cheated, and my entitled daughter supported the affair, disrespecting me and humiliating my dead mother. So I cut her out of my will and divorced my wife. Now, my ex-wife is in a mental hospital. My daughter is on the streets, couldn't complete her education, has no friends left, and is begging me to reconcile. It's been 13 days since I created this account to get it out of my chest. I lost my dignity, my pride, and my love. I'm a naked man who will be walking the walk of shame because of what I did. I disowned and destroyed my family. This is the only place I'll write this out. I don't intend for this to blow out. If it does, I'll delete this account. I'm 48 now. This story started when I was 20. I met a girl who I thought was perfect. She was 19. We just clicked. Had the perfect chemistry. Dated for 2 years before she got pregnant at 21. We moved in. I was living with my mom at that time. My father died when I was 15. Mom never remarried. She had a consulting firm where I worked as a receptionist. My late father's business was sold off construction as I was young. I became a father at 23 to a baby girl. She was the most beautiful girl. The bond between me and my girlfriend deepened after this. 2 years later, we get married. I join a job as a computer programmer. Earned a 6-figure because it was in high demand. Our lives take off. My wife wanted to be a psalm. I agreed, but also recommended she take up a part-time job to spend her time. Things took a turn when I was 29 and she was 28. Her father had a terrible accident that made him immobile from waist down. If it wasn't bad, he was the sole earner. I had a talk with my mom, and my mill, Phil, and Sil moved in with us. They lived in a rented place. And now their sole earner is immobile. Finances were an issue. Sil took up a part-time job, as did my wife, to support her family. During this time, I also inherited from my late grandmother's will, which was split in two, and was put for the college fund and my insurance by my mother. I had no issues with it, but my wife wanted to buy a house with it, so we could move out from here. I had no problem, but she specifically wanted to buy a house in her mother's name with my inheritance, and both the sisters would work to pay off my inheritance. This was the issue. So we had this distance part between us because I found her proposal weird. 2 years passed, and my mother suffered a stroke as she had several clots, and doctors needed to do surgery urgently and fast. It was successful, but my wife wanted my mom to stay at the hospital rather than come home because it would be difficult to have 2 patients at home at once. I told her I agree, but I will hire a nurse. She denied. She wanted me to hire 2 nurses to take care of my Phil and mom, or none. I told her she would have to pay for her father's expense because I was already handling bills, groceries, taxes, our daughter's private school, and now this nurse. I won't be able to pay for her father's nurse. They should be able to afford it because both sisters make a combined income of nearly $60,000 a year, which was probably more than enough given that they lived and ate free. My relationship with our daughter soured a bit at this time. She began disrespecting me and was mean to me openly. I thought she was just having child issues. She was 8 at the time. My mother had a speedy recovery, and she voiced her opinion that she wants to sell her consulting firm and put the money in my name. My wife had an argument right there because she wants her to give it to our daughter and my wife, as I had already gotten my share of inheritance from my grandmother. What even more surprised me was that her mom and dad were quiet about it. My mother reminded her that it was her money and that she wouldn't mind giving her inheritance as insurance. Nope, my wife had problems with me because, you see, we don't have a joint account. She can't access my account. Neither can I to hers. She wants a joint account. We had an argument, and it was decided that my mom would give the whole money to me. That was the end of it. So a few months passed by like this. But then, unfortunately, my Phil passes away. It was harsh, especially to my wife. I tried to console her every way I could. Handled both household and workload all by myself, not bragging. I tried to do everything I could, but it still was not enough for her. Funeral was my responsibility. It goes well, but still she'd complain about how I could have done better. She began to sleep in a separate room with our daughter, who was 9 years old now. I convinced her to attend therapy, and things settled down. We were intimate again and reconnected in a better and stronger way. But I sensed something was off with our daughter. She would shut me down every time I wanted to talk to her. It hurt seeing her like this. 2 years passed by as I tried to build a better bond with our daughter. This time around, my mother passes away. She had another stroke and sadly could not survive. I was devastated by her loss. You see, she raised me all by herself for the majority of my life because my father was busy. It was also the reason I wanted our daughter to have a better relationship with both of us, and was giving tremendous amount of effort to achieve that. I went to depression, but got no response from my wife. My daughter didn't even attend the funeral, and I was saddened by it. 2 months after my mother's death, my mill asked me if I should move out of my mother's house because I was overly depressed and I should get over it. I'm also ruining the atmosphere, and it'll lighten me up. I calmly told her, I want to remind you of your husband's passing. You and both of your daughters were in grief for 6-7 months. We never asked you to move out, and how dare you even ask me to move out from my own house? She was taken aback and went fully quiet by it. I talked to my wife regarding this, but she didn't give me any response. I guess it was 2 days later this incident. I was grabbing something from the fridge and noticed my daughter's phone. A text came that reads something like, "It's good that the old witch is gone now. You can have the house to yourselves. We can have a party on your birthday." Excuse me, what? My daughter was 11 at the time, and what old witch? I read the conversation, and yes, indeed, she was referring to my mother. She called me ape, controlling, even though I never denied her anything except for things that I deemed useless for her. She wanted a pony at 6, koala at 9, panda, and her own car at 11. Who does that? I called my wife and showed her these. Her response was at me for trying to look into our daughter's phone. We had an argument about it before she stormed off. She again began to sleep in separate beds. I tried to make amends, but she shut me down. It took me agreeing to our daughter's birthday party to get her into talking to me. 3 years passed by for quick review. My daughter is 15, I'm 38, and my wife is 37. I had to go to another city for a summit for 4 months. I landed up in another job that provided me with tons of opportunities and even better pay. When I returned, my wife's entire demeanor changed around me. She quit her job and would hang out more with friends which I supported dressed up in more expensive and posh clothes. You get the idea. I thought it was a change of habit and was fine with it, but our daughter openly disrespected me and was mean right on my face. I kept trying and trying not to freak out. Sil, and my wife were telling me it was just hormones, and she's just a kid. I stayed upset, but yeah, I trusted them. Bedroom skyrocketed at this time between me and my wife. She would want me to go down on her. I loved that. Try out a new position, and be kinky. I enjoyed every bit of it. Except for one day, she bought the kink of me being caged, as in, like, chastity caged. I shut her down immediately. We argued over this for a week before she got frustrated and dropped the topic. Our sexual life dwindled here. Things go worse from here. My wife suddenly wants to go on a girls' trip with her sister and our daughter. I had no issues, as it'll be great. I had to pay a nice sum for it, but it was okay. She didn't call me for 3 days. We had chats only with her mom, and I had chit-chat with her there. It was odd for me. I asked her about this when she returned, and she told me she was just tired. I asked to see her photos. I saw a lot of friends, both male and female. It sent me into alert, but she assured me it was just her friends and a few male friends. I saw nothing suspicious, so I was okay. 2 months later was our daughter's birthday, and I wanted to plan something for her. The wife asked not to, as she would celebrate it with a girls' night. I was taken aback and voiced my opinion. Who takes their daughter on a girls' night? She told me it wasn't like that, but rather her friends and their daughters only. No alcohol was involved. I was fine by it. My birthday was around the corner after this event. Keep in mind our sex life is bland now. It's once a week. I tried to initiate more, but she always came up with excuses. I never celebrated my birthdays after my mom passed away, but each year my wife gives me gifts, so I kind of expected this. The wife tells me she has to go shopping with our daughter. Goes out for 6 hours, no calls, no texts, and no gifts. When I ask about it, she tells me one of her friends got into an accident, and she stayed there and couldn't receive my calls. 2 weeks after this, my wife was showing me some pictures from our daughter's girls' camp, and our daughter told her that she needed her. She handed me her phone and went out of the room. A text came saying, "Hey, my dear daughter, I'm sorry for this late reply. I'm the lucky one to be your mom's boyfriend. Tell your mom I love her and kiss her for me. I'll text you soon." It took me a effing whole minute to read the text over and over again, and I still couldn't believe myself. I scroll up to see my daughter texted this person. "I'm glad you're mom's boyfriend. I really wish you were my dad." What? I go to the toilet, lock the door, and read this conversation. All things noted, this guy is having an affair with my wife, and our daughter knows. This guy is having an affair and our daughter knows. What in the effing world? I saw pictures of vacations, girls' trips, and our daughter's birthday. They effing went to a candlelight dinner as a family. This guy was kissing my wife right in front of our daughter, and my daughter was pointing at them like it was some sort of good romantic thing. What's more, my sil effing knew. The more I scrolled, the more my heart sank. It was this guy who gave my wife an idea about chastity. It seemed to me that my daughter and wife were both texting from this. What's more, this account wasn't even her real. It was of a different username, but this guy knew everything about my family. Even on my birthday, my wife and daughter were with this guy. At his house. What the F? He was over my house, slept on my bed while I was gone for 4 months, and even worse. It has been going on for 4 years. 4 effing years? I heard a loud bang on the toilet door. It was our daughter. I just came out and stared at her. This was the first time I stared at my daughter like this. The same daughter that I looked at with pride, love, and respect just sank to indifference and disappointment. I wasn't even angry. She was red and crying. She didn't know what to say. My wife was there, as were my sil and Mill. I just asked my Mill if she knew what her daughter did. My wife responded, "We can talk." I don't know what came over me. I yelled out, "Shut the F up or I'll strangle you RN," so loud that even neighbors might have woken up. I questioned my Mill again, and she nodded. She freaking nodded. I looked at my daughter and told her I'm sorry I couldn't be a better father. But I'll do this one thing for her and divorce her mother. I called my wife her mother for the first time while addressing her so this guy can be his father whom she dearly wants. I looked at my wife and told her she has 9 days month's end to pack up and leave with her family. I'll hand over the divorce papers. But for now, move out. She kept crying, but my yelling and responding might have taken her off guard. She knew I wasn't in the mood to argue or talk. I gave up. It's over. It was it. I couldn't sleep the whole night. Just stared at the wall and my phone, looking at our family photos. At morning, I tell my wife not to cook for me because I don't trust her. She might poison me, not gonna lie. She broke down. And I felt I was out of line with this, and I was going to file for divorce today. She tried to talk, but I had none of it. Mill asked me to wait and listen to her before making my decision. I had a friend who's a lawyer. I met him and laid all my cards at the table. He just tells me this. I've been a lawyer for 12 years, he's 41, and haven't seen a case as infuriating and saddening as yours. He hugged me. He told me his uncle is the family judge who probably will be handling my case. But before that, I need proof, loads of it. He gave me a number of someone who happens to be a PI. I hired him. I went through my daughter's phone, nothing. I talked to my wife. She told me sorry over and over again, but no remorse. My daughters, Sil and Mill, didn't come anywhere near me. My daughter was even to the point of being afraid of me, so much that she lived 2 days at her friend's house. Her friend's father called me, and I had to inform him of the entire situation. He said he's sorry. It was hard for him to believe what my daughter did, as it should be. No man ever could dream of getting betrayed like this by their own children. P.I. Found the guy. It turns out he's a jackass, a coward from the countryside who fears commitments, is a small-time thief, and used to work at the same place as my wife. I hit his place with my lawyer, P.I., and another of my friends who happens to be police. I got him cornered on false claims, and he spilled the beans. It turns out he was attracted towards my wife, and accepted a challenge from his coworker that he would have her in his bed. It soon turned to love. He was actually in love with my wife. It turns out it was him who called me my mom witch. It was a separate ID, and she was just friends with my daughter before my wife dropped the news that she's having an affair with this guy. He was even ready to provide a written statement video of him confessing, any photos, and even a witness for the exchange of promises that word of this wouldn't reach his office or his sickly mom, who's 60 plus with heart disease in the countryside, and a few $1,000. I agreed. My wife moved out with her family. She took a few more $1,000 from me to pay lease. Divorce hearing. I lay all my cards on the table. Every screenshot, every video of her boyfriend confessing, every lie, receipts, and even photos of them holding hands and kissing. The look on her face soured. She told me I was abusive, but this claim was easily dismissed as there was no proof. And if I was abusive, why would I allow her to do her job and keep her family at my house? She had nothing to prove, and even her lawyer was taken aback by the amount of proof we had. She conceded at the end and told me she's incredibly sorry for what she did and will do anything to make up for it, even if it takes the rest of her life to do so. The judge said I'll have to pay spousal support to her for 4 years. There was no custody battle as our daughter was already 17 at the time. She wished to stay with her mother. I had no problem with that, we'll come to this later. My wife will receive half of my house and her car, but nothing except that. I offered to buy her share of the house. I have a hefty sum left by my mother, remember. Another reason was the house market will go up in the future. I'll make a profit from there. Now here I requested one thing from the judge. I wanted to have my name removed from my birth certificate. This, of course, was not possible. If I can't, then I'll disown our daughter. The look on my wife's face was just the best thing. Her face turned white. She responded, "How could you?" I reminded her she put me to this. My daughter yelled, "Dad, you can't do this right in the courtroom." I ignored her. Judge was a good man and understood my sentiments. However, he advised me to forgive. There is no way I can disown her legally, but I can cut her off from my will. It was it. It took me 8 months to get the divorce finalized, and I couldn't be happier. When I got out, I hugged my lawyer. He saved me. Ex-wife and ex-daughter came up. My wife told me she knows she doesn't even have the face to ask for forgiveness, but if I can find it in my heart to forgive her. I replied, "I don't have a heart." She ripped it out. Daughter said she's sorry for what she did. She will be the best daughter and asked for another chance. This girl had the audacity to call me dad. I reminded her I wasn't her dad. I'm an ape if she remembers, and that her dad is the one she wanted. She should be happy that her mother is single now. She chased me, but I left. On our way back, I asked my lawyer if I could let the company my ex-wife works at know what my ex-wife was up to these years. He advised me to get a RO first. With the help of my police friend and judge, I was able to get one had to spend money that went nuclear. Made 5 copies of evidence. 1 for company. 1 to be sent to the ex-wife's boyfriend's sickly mom. I don't care. He didn't respect my home and my mom. I can't respect his. 1 was with my lawyer, and I burned 1. The last copy I left in my locker. The fallout was quite the show. They were fired. My ex still had the guts to call me out. She told me she knew me always as a brave, upstanding, loyal, strong character, and humble man, but never thought I'd ruin her sister's career like this. She yelled at me for getting her sister fired. I chuckled and reminded her that it was she who supported the affair. I might be a coward for doing this, but what she did made her sister a homewrecker. I asked her why she was so mad. Is there a possibility she spread her legs for her sister's boyfriend too? She was sickened and blocked me. Mill reached out, forgot about this woman, and apologized for what happened. She couldn't raise her daughters well. I called her out. I told her she was a horrible and greedy woman. I wouldn't give a darn if she dies, and she should be thankful for having a person like me as her son-in-law in this life before blocking her. As for boyfriend, his mother had a heart attack and passed away. It turns out his mother always hated infidelity because his boyfriend had daddy issues. Their dad left him before he was born. I felt sad, but therapy made me realize I shouldn't. It's human nature. I didn't know of this before. He nuked my marriage and family. I replied the favor. As for my daughter, she kept reaching out, apologizing for every word. I blocked her, but she won't stop reaching out to me. I had to change my number. Sold my house 8 months after divorce was finalized. Got a hefty sum. Moved to a different city. Started afresh, attended therapy in the gym, and got a better paying job. Got into boxing. I bought a house and invested in cryptos and stocks. Made a fortune. I got into the dating market when I turned 42, met and remarried again at 44. Now I have a better wife who's amazing in every way and knows the value of relationships because she herself faced the same situation as me, no kids. I have a 4-year-old son with her, and I couldn't be any happier. I executed my will that excluded my daughter, so she won't be getting anything from me. I don't know how, but she was able to reach out to me 2 weeks ago. Sent 8 long paragraphs detailing how sorry she is. She's been in crippling depression, therapy, and working hard. I got a call from my lawyer, which surprised me even more. My daughter turned up to the lawyer's office with $20,000. I don't know where she got this from. She made a request that she will work hard and return every last penny I spent on her. She will keep on apologizing for the rest of her life, but she wants me in her life. She can't stay like this anymore. It's eating her alive. I don't know much about what happened, but as I heard, her mother, my ex-wife, turned depressive and had to be admitted to a mental hospital. Her sister Sil moved in with an alcoholic abuser and is pregnant with her 2nd kid. My ex Mill passed away. She had an accident, lost a lot of blood, and if she survived, she would have ended up like her late husband. So now my ex-daughter is living alone, working at a part-time job because she couldn't finish her education. She borrowed some money from friends. I also heard nearly all of her friends cut her off after I had a talk with her friend's dad. Everyone called her toxic and moved on. Not gonna lie, Hearing all this shattered my heart. My wife is pushing me to build a bridge with my ex-wife, saying she realizes her mistakes and she needs me now more than ever. If I don't help her now, she won't get up and will keep on falling endlessly. I don't know how to feel. When you're a father, a lot of responsibilities lie on your shoulders that you can't simply outrun. I gave my daughter the world, and she stabbed me. I was hurt and angry, but more, my pride shattered. My love shattered. My decision to cut off my daughter was the toughest one. But I still made that decision. But I don't know if I should contact my ex-daughter now. My lawyer said I should because it's the right thing to do. I need to let it go for myself. Funny how life can change in an instant. Second story. My wife cheated with my friend and ruined our 26-year relationship, causing me to beat the SHT out of my friend and get arrested, which exposed her affair and caused our kids to hate their mom. Now she wants a deserving second chance because she cheated under peer pressure and then committed self-harm after I found someone who loves me, traumatizing our kids all over again. Hi. I understand that we're not allowed to give out names, but I'm guessing maybe full names. I read a lot of posts to try to get the gist of them, but I can't write like them, so vague and to the point. I don't know. I'll try my best. My name is Hector, and I'm 47 years old, Puerto Rican. I think the abbreviation is STBX wife Debbie. I was married for 26 years. We were together for 30. We got married in our senior year of high school when she got pregnant with our firstborn. I was lucky enough to get a job at UPS right after graduation. We struggled in the beginning. She's from a traditional Irish family, and they hated me at first. But I won them over. Especially her father. I made sure she didn't have to work. By the time we were 27 years old, we had 5 kids. 4 girls and a boy. I was just fortunate that the boy came out first. We had our arguments over money, discipline methods, and me complaining about the lack of a sex. I understood. We have 5 children, and they can be very exhausting. I tried to help as much as I could, but she was still tired. However, she was my everything. She always kept her body in shape. I try as well, but being a delivery driver for a very long time, I'm what they called skinny fat. I have a muscular chest, arms, and legs, but I have a sloppy gut. I got the horseshoe hairline that caused me to shave it off. Yet Debbie was my everything. There were times she was verbally abusive towards me, and whenever I had enough and lashed back, she became a crybaby, and I just gave up. As the years went by, we were the only married couple in our friend group. Every last one of them got divorced. Out of our 7 married couple friends, 5 were caused by infidelity on the wife's part. 1 was on the husband's part, and the last one they divorced because she friend-zoned her husband. I was against my wife hanging out with her newly single friends. However, that would just start a massive argument about me controlling her, keeping her as a prisoner, and my personal living as ex-doll. All of that caught me by surprise. The more she hung out with them, the more resentful she became. The kids took notice. I remembered my son and 2 of my daughters arguing with her when I came home, and as much as I understood their frustration, I scolded my kids for yelling at their mother, and when they left the room, I confirmed their issue, and she told me that we see her as a slave. I asked her where this was coming from, but she said forget it, shut down, and walked away. I remember D-Day so vividly. Debbie was out with her friends. I was in the kitchen cooking. The kids were watching Train to Busan, and my 3 oldest came to the kitchen. I thought they came to check on the food, but they all had a concerned look. Before I asked what the issue was, my son told me that they think their mother was having an affair. Of course, at first, I didn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. I yelled at them, and I told them I was going to prove they were wrong. I turned on the Where's My iPhone app, and saw that she was at a bar on the outskirts of town. I hopped in my truck and went. When I arrived at the bar, it was crowded, but I saw her circle of friends in the corner booth, acting like drunk idiots. When I approached them, they all turned pale, and that unsettling feeling hit my stomach. Since I didn't see her in the bar, I went outside and walked around the parking lot. There was a car in the back corner. It looked like the man on the driver's side was sleeping. A man who I thought was my friend. I approached the car to ask him if he had seen my wife. But when I got closer, it was obvious that he was getting a BJ, and the closer I got, the more I recognized the woman in the car. I was practically standing by the driver's side window, and none of them noticed me. I lost my temper. I broke the window, dragged him out, and I wasn't civil. Debbie was screaming sorry over and over. I was yelling at her while kicking him. Cops showed up soon after that, and I was arrested for assault and battery. I spent a week and a half in county. I had to go into the infirmary because I thought I was having a heart attack. But it turned out I was suffering from broken heart syndrome. The news of what I did spread like wildfire. Eventually, my father-in-law bailed out. The man was practically in tears when I stepped through those gates. He profusely apologizes to me for his daughter's actions. During the drive home, he told me he spoke to my manager and union rep about the situation so I could still keep my job. He said that the kids have been staying with him, and Debbie was waiting for me in the house. He said he knew what was going to happen, which was why he brought the truck. He was right. When we got to the house, Debbie ran to me crying and tried to hug me, but I shoved her so hard that she fell to the ground. She looked at me with shock. I told her to get her SHT out of my house, and I wanted divorce. She tried to fight it, but her father convinced her otherwise. An hour after they left, my mother-in-law came with the kids, and I hugged them all for dear life. She apologizes for her daughter's actions as well before leaving. Now in my state, there's mandatory couples counseling before granting the divorce, which, in my opinion, is complete BS. I don't understand why I have to go to counseling if she cheated. At the beginning of the sessions, I just sat there, listening to her dribble. That is exactly what it was, dribbling. Blame shifting on the fact we were young parents, and she never experienced the wild lifestyle. The freedom, and she got carried away. She got lost in it, and her friends encouraged it. Soon she felt like she was missing something, and she started a fling. The counselor tried on a few times to make it my fault, telling me that I should have allowed her to spread her wings every once in a while, and how I needed to see it from her point of view. I just looked at the woman and asked the counselor if she was smoking crack, because that was the dumbest thing that could have come out of her mouth. I asked Debbie how long she was cheating on me with him, and she said 4 months and insisted that he was the only one. But it was a mistake, and we could get past this because we have history. So I asked her more questions. Who initiated the sex, you or him? How many times did you go down on him? Did you swallow? Did he do you raw? Did he come in you? Did they fall asleep together? Through her stream of tears, she answered them honestly, and I was quiet for a long while. The counselor tried talking to me twice during this, and I raised my finger. I thought about everything we did before and during her affair window. The laughter, the conversations, the sex, everything, and there was no inkling of her being sad or angry. We were just being us. When I finally did speak, I brought up the times we had sex during that window. I called her a W. The counselor tried to correct me, and I told her to shut up as I continued to call her every name in the book. Eventually, I told her she was tainted in my eyes. Again, the counselor and Debbie tried to convince me that our history and relationship can get past this mistake, and I didn't want to hear it anymore. It was like they didn't care about my feelings on the matter. It was just about forgiving her and what I can do to get over it and apologize to her for making her feel like a servant. So I walked out. This contested divorce has been a long, uphill battle for the past 2 years. Debbie is still trying to make things right, still trying to get us back together. I don't know why, because our conversations are strictly about the kids, and when she tried to talk to me about something else, I hung up on her. Family gatherings consist of me avoiding her or not showing up at all. Our oldest children refused to talk to her. I tried to make them spend time with their mom, but they refused, and I have chosen to respect that. My in-laws are at my house weekly, and I know they have been trying to make their daughter give me my divorce, but that has been a bust. My mother-in-law has been especially harsh on her, calling her a dumb brat, gossiping about her to her congregation. I had to ask her to stop because I didn't want the whole town to know our business. During the first year, my son and daughter created a Twitter account for me. I thought it was dumb. I'm a middle-aged man with 5 children who has a dad bod. Yet I have been on over a dozen very successful dates that have been a real confidence booster. Recently, I met someone during my court issue community service. Her name is Isabel, and she was our Habitat for Humanity supervisor. She's drop-dead gorgeous and won first place for a Vanessa Marcel look-alike contest at a soap opera convention she and her daughter attended. That's how we started talking. My daughters love watching General Hospital, and I sat with them. To me, this is one of the few times I get to spend with them. I introduced her to kids 6 months in, and they instantly took a shine to her. To make things really awkward, my son and her daughter appear to really like each other. However, Debbie is not letting go. She actually told our youngest 2 children that eventually we would get back together. I had to tell her to stop telling them this. Her father is trying to make her go see a therapist, but I just want this over already. I don't regret my years with Debbie. I have 5 wonderful kids with her. I man up and build a life for her. My only regret is that she ruined 26 years together on a fling. I regret that she thought she had me in a way that I was just going to let it slide and take her back. However, I do hate her. When I run into her old group of friends around town, I openly call them W and homewreckers instead of their names. That love and respect that I had for her disappeared when I caught her in that car. She will always be the mother of my children and nothing else. I just hope that she can come to terms with that. Update. I hope this is where updates are placed. Apologies if it's not, and apologies if this sounds incoherent. I'm tired, sitting in the hospital on my third can of Bang, waiting for my ex to be transferred into a mental hospital. My daughters are home. Isabel is sleeping beside me, and she hasn't left my side. My son has been with his mother after she left the surgery. His girlfriend Isabel's daughter has been by his side as well. Last weekend was the start of this nightmare. The week prior was the lead up to my in-laws' 55th wedding anniversary, and they asked me to bring Isabel. Since we made it official, they have kindly asked me not to bring her to functions to avoid tension, and I obliged. This time they asked if she could come. For the past month, my ex has been a bit erratic. She had several physical altercations with her old friends. One of them got a broken nose, one had a busted lip, and the last one was shoved out of a Circle K. Each time the police were called, and considering how small our county was, they just took her to her parents' house. I tried telling my in-laws that she should be taken to the hospital for evaluation. It even blew up into a shouting match, but in the end, I concede. I should have fought harder. On Saturday, we all showed up at my in-laws' anniversary party, and to me, Debbie appeared off. I pulled her to the side, and it was the first time I had actually spoken to her. I asked her if she was all right, and she faked a smile, trying to tell me that she was okay, but I called her out on it, and she cried a little. She told me how sorry she was. She told me that she couldn't understand why she didn't tell her old friends to back off, or why she gave in to the peer pressure. She told me that she destroyed our family, and seeing how I am with Isabel only made her miss me more and wished she appreciated what she had. When she said that, I felt fear in the pit of my stomach, or maybe it was anxiety. I should have kept asking if she was all right, but I was blindsided when Debbie formally apologized to Isabel for her actions and asked her to keep me happy because I'm a good man who deserves a good woman. During the party, Debbie went to each of our kids, and I can see them making peace with her. I don't know what was said, but they hugged and kissed her. They were talking and laughing. They even posed for a few pictures. Isabel and I were having a great time, and for once, I thought about having cordial conversations with Debbie. It was 3 a.m. when I got the call. My sister-in-law was screaming in a panic. I could hear my mother-in-law crying. And then I heard my brother-in-law trying to calmly tell me that Debbie tried to end her life, and they were on their way to the hospital. I rushed out of the house in my PJs. Isabel and my daughters didn't need to ask what happened. My side of the conversation painted the picture, and my daughters were severely distraught. Debbie slit her wrists and would have bled out if it hadn't been for her brother needing to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. When I arrived at the hospital, my in-laws were not well. She lost a lot of blood and was in surgery to repair the arteries. I should have called my kids, but my mind was occupied. It took me to see my son casually walking towards me to ask me why I was in the hospital when reality hit me. And I struggled not to cry as I told him what happened. And he ran towards the ER. I called the rest of my kids, and they already knew. My youngest called them, and they were almost at the hospital. She was in surgery for 6 hours. My father-in-law and I donated our blood for her since the hospital was short on her blood type. My son couldn't be a part of the operation, but he observed the surgery. All of my daughters were not doing well. My eldest daughter especially. All she kept talking about was the could've, should've, and would have, and I told her to just focus on the now and not the past. My younger 3 daughters were pacing around, and when my son left the OR, he told us that she was going to be fine, and when I hugged him, he collapsed into my arm, crying. I wanted to cry as well, but I had to be strong for them. Late Sunday, my mother-in-law found the self-harm notes. She wrote one for each of the kids and a thick one for me. In my envelope were the signed divorce papers and an 8-page letter of apology. The letter just reinforced that she was never unhappy about our marriage. She just gave in to the peer pressure and how she called it brainwashed, that she was a servant by her so-called friends. She stated that she was so sorry for how she treated me, the kids, and for having that affair. I'm paraphrasing it, thought. When Debbie woke up, at first she refused to talk. She would just stare out the window. For 2 days it was like that, and it was around that time I asked about how to update. I needed a distraction. Then she slowly began acknowledging everyone, but she was distant. It was almost as if she was disappointed that she was still alive. As the days passed, she didn't get better, although she was more conversational. Debbie asked to speak to Isabel alone. When she came out, she told me that Debbie asked her if she loved me because she could see that I loved her. Isabel told her that she did love me. I told her that I was the first man she had been with since her husband died 15 years ago in Afghanistan. She asked me if Debbie was right. Did I love her? And I acknowledge it. This made her happy. Debbie is going to be in a mental hospital for observation. The doctor told her parents that it could be a year, maybe 2, before she gets released. She may no longer be my wife or the woman that I devoted all my love to, but she's still the mother of my children, and I'm going to make sure she gets better, for our kids' sake. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.